Hello, today we're going to be learning how to make this cute original avocado bag that I designed myself. This is the pattern that we'll be following. You can take a screenshot, you can pause, or you can go over to my Pinterest account and fetch the image from there. The back side of the bag will be the exact same, except that all the beads are going to be dark green, so there's not going to be any pattern on the back because we are emulating the cut of the avocado with the bit. So on the back side it's going to be like the skin of the avocado. I also need the nylon thread. Well, it's actually a fishing line of 0.6 milliliters thick. Then a thread for the lining and this kind of, not lace, but I don't know how you call it, for the bag. This are three colors of beads. One is brown, light green and dark green. And for the sewing, a chalk and the pins to keep the fabric in place. So this is all we need. Of course, the beads I just put here an example. We need way more than that. We'll also probably need a similar kind of tool and scissors. I use manicure scissors to cut the fishing line. First, I cut a fishing line, and I cut just enough so that it's comfortable for me to work with it, but it's not too short. Because when it's too long, it's not very comfortable to work with it, because you spend forever pulling it. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to cut it around here, and that's it. Also, I have my scheme like here, my template, so I can refer to it at all times. First of all, I take 4 beads of dark green color and I put them to the middle, and then I need to take the edge, one of the sides of the fishing line, and I pull it through the same bead on the edge backwards. So we kind of form a loop like this. And then we pull the second side of the fishing line through that loop. So we kind of form a mini knot like this. And we tie it and we hide this loop inside the bead like this. Now we take 2 dark green on this side and 1 light green on this side. And also make sure that this is in the middle of your thread, so both ends are even in length. Mine right now are not, so I'm gonna fix that. Now again, I did a loop in the dark green bead, and I'm pulling the thread from the side of the light green bead into this loop, and I hide the loop inside of the bead like this. So now you have 2 crosses. Next step is going to be repeating the same cross, and the last cross I'm going to show you how to make in order to add the row to the next, like add the cross to the next row. So now we have 2 crosses with the light green on the top, and we need to now pick 3 dark green beads on the side where there are only dark beads. So this side of the fishing line, we take 3 dark green beads and we make the loop again in the last dark green bead. And we make a loop. And we pull the second string through that loop, like this. And we pull from this side. So it looks like this. Now we keep this intact, and the one that is on the side, we need to put there 3 dark green beads. well, actually 4. We will put 4. And on this one we will put 4 dark green beads. And we will loop it in like this on the first dark bead that we picked. I had to change locations because it was too hot, and also you probably are gonna see my dog at some point. But this is what I did. With one of the threads I put 4 beads and I made a loop and I tied like this. So we have an extra cross in one of the rows. And now I'm going to continue beading. So next we have 2 light green on this side, and I'm going to make a loop and I'm going to put this one into that loop. And I hide the loop inside. It's a bit hard sometimes because it pops out, but it's important to hide it in. Now I pull this one of them through this bead, and the edge one I will have 2 light green beads on it, and I'm gonna put the loop again and put this one in. But first we need to pull this one through one of the side beads. So you do it like this and you pull, and there's my dog somewhere. Anyway, well, if you are in the situation like me, just pull this out and you have a clean item. 2 light green, loop, pulling this through the loop. Now again we have 2 light greens, we form a loop, and then we pull the second one through the light green and through the loop. Again, this one through the dark green, 1 light green, 1 dark green on this one, loop, tie. Now we need to add an additional cross here, so we put 3 beads of dark green color on this thread and we pull it back. We make a loop, we pull it back through this one. So like, and then we will keep this intact for now, and then I will show you. Now we have a cross here, and we will need to add 1 more row. So we pull this one through here, and this one we pull through this too, and again here, and they have to meet, like they have to make a cross like this in this bead. So we have 2 rows already. Now we need to put 3 dark green beads on this edge one, make a loop around itself, and it will be somewhere here, the end of it. Now we have 4 beads on the edge one, and we pull the string across itself into this bead. So basically what we did, we pulled it through the first bead from this 4, and now we're gonna bead as usual. So refer to your scheme, to the template, and for that we will need 2 light green beads again, and you will put them on this edge one, and you will make a loop, and you will put this one that is inside into that loop. So we have this situation right here, and we pull the knot inside the bead and we tie everything really tight, and all is inside. Now we continue beading until the end according to our template. I will put the template to Pinterest, so you will be able to refer to it, and yeah, so the link will be in the description of this video. And we will need to continue, and we will add again the row here. So I will show you again how to add the row and how to add the row here, and then I'm gonna switch to how to reduce the rows when we finish the whole bag, because it's pretty much all the same. So I will show you a couple more rows, and then I will already show you how to make the entire bag come together and how to make a lining, because this is going to be a very repetitive process anyways. What I want to show you one more time is that this inner, I call it thread, will go again into this bead. We will have 2 beads on this side, loop in. This goes again inside the inner beads, and this will always get the new beads, the loop, and we will pull this into the loop. We have completed this row, so I put here 3 beads, and I pulled the loop into this bead. So it was like 3 beads on this one, loop, and then this one goes, so we turn around. Now I will put 4 beads on this one for dark green, and I will loop it around itself. So you can see this is the way the thread goes, and I will continue with the same direction, so I will just pull. I'm gonna pull this thread into the first one, same thread, to form a kind of a loop here. So we have an extra cross here. Now I'm gonna take 2 light green beads on this one, and I'm gonna make a loop, and I put this one inside the loop. As you can see, I already have the pit, 2 of them, so I will not go row by row because it's very time consuming, but you can print out the Pinterest template, and you can follow that. And this is the last row where we add crosses, so I'm gonna show you how to add it here, and then we're gonna continue straight for several rows. And I'm gonna show you how to turn when you have no additional crosses or no reduction. So that will be our next step. Now we're done with the widest row, so we're not gonna add any more crosses into the next line. So what I do, I take 3 beads, I make a loop, and I pull this one into this loop. So we kind of turn, we have an extra line here, and then we continue beading upwards, and we're not gonna add any more rows. So this is like the widest this bag is gonna be, and we're gonna continue beading 3 beads, loop this one in. It's not gonna be all dark beads, it's gonna be 2 dark beads and 1 light bead. I'm pulling this thread through this bead like this, and I'm putting 2 light beads on this one. And I'm going to form a loop, and I'm going to continue beading according to the scheme until the very last bead, and I'm going to show you how I turn around. Now that we're done with the row, I put 2 dark green beads on the edge here. I made a loop and I put the second side of the string through the loop. And we are done with this row. The loop is inside the bead now. And I take 3 beads, so 2 dark green and 1 light green, and loop, and then I put this one inside the loop. It will look like this. Now I'm going to pull this string inside of this bead, and I'm going to continue beading by putting 2 light green beads on this one, loop, and then tie a knot. And then I continue in this manner until it's time to reduce the quantities of the crosses in the row, and then I'm going to show you how to do it as well. Now I ran out of thread, and I'm going to hide it inside of the beads, and I'm going to make a couple of knots. So I want to pull it somewhere here so that there are not too many threads inside of the beads. Like, avoid the ones that have the loop in them. And they don't have to be super far away, like it doesn't really matter how well you hide it because it's somewhere in the middle anyways. And I'm just pulling it in, and like I follow the natural course, like I follow the thread that we used to put, so like I don't go across the hole. Like I'm going to turn just like I always did. So let's say I want to have the knot somewhere here, so I pulled the second one also in a way that it would meet the first one. At some point I might switch into, let's say, a dark mode because it's going to be evening soon and I want to finish it in one day. So just don't be alarmed if at some point it's going to be electric light, it's going to be a little bit darker. But yeah, this is life, this is Finland, it gets dark super early and I cannot do anything about it. Now I'm doing the knots. I'm going to have 3 knots. So what I basically did, I made sure that the threads meet at the corner. So I don't have the knot in the middle of like the hole, it's going to be on the side. I'm going to pull it into one of these beads where one of the threads come from. So it's going to be 2 or 3 knots, it doesn't really matter to be honest, because it's going to be hidden and this side doesn't really carry any weight. So the important part is to have really sturdy tops or where you attach the handle, but the middle is very like chill, you know, you don't have to worry too much. And now is my least favorite part, is the limbo of how to hide the thread inside, and that is where this tool comes in handy. I just pull this with the tool inside. So now we can see that the bead is inside this bead, the knot is inside this bead, and I'm hiding the ends. I like to keep a little bit of the end so that if the knot by magic decides to untie, I have some buffer. So I'm just hiding it in one of the beads nearby, and I'm going to chop the ends with scissors. I have manicure scissors because they are the best ones, because they go really close to the bead, like that. Mine are already like very old and half dead, but if you have better ones, please, the better the scissors, the better the cut, the cleaner it's gonna be. So this is what we have. Now I'm going to cut another piece of the thread. And I'm going to put it inside of this bead, the edge bead, this one. Nothing special, just pulling it through, and you have it like this. And actually now I need to pull also through this bead because I'm going to continue the crosses. So this is what it looks like, and I'm gonna continue beading until it's time to reduce the amount of crosses in the row, and then I'm gonna show you how I do that. Now we're at the end, and what I'm gonna do, I'm going to take this thread, pull it through the bead like this, and then I'm going to take 2 beads, dark green, and I'm going to pull this back through the same bead like this. The other thread is still in the same bead, so it looks like that. And now I put the other thread through this bead, the second bead in the row. And this one I'm going to pull from through the bead below and do a full circle to make the threads meet in the same bead here. We are gonna continue beading the next row from this one. I take 3 dark green beads. Same, you make a loop like this. And I will continue beading until I finish here. Well, actually here, because we're gonna do together the next reduction. And there's gonna be 1 row, 2 rows that go reducing, and then again we continue beading the same row lengths, and then we reduce once more. So now again I take 2 dark beads, Now again, I take 2 dark beads and I pull the thread through the edge bead, like through this one. I don't know, you can see it through this one, like in a circular motion kind of. And then I pull it through this bead and through this bead and through this bead. So I make a full circle kind of. And this one I pull into the same bead here so that the threads meet each other in the same, inside the same bead. They cross each other actually. So now you have it like this. Now I again removed 1 row and I'm gonna continue with 1 row removed, but then I'm going to build 2 more rows on top of this one without removing anything. Like you can see here, there's like 1, 2, 3 we have to have on the same level, and then this last one is going to be 1 level down. This is what I have now, and I'm going to make the other side completely dark green, and I'm going to use the same shape, just I'm not going to change any colors. And here I have 2 sides of the bag, and I'm going to link them together so that we have this, something like this as the outcome. So how are we connecting these 2 together? For starters, what I want to specify is that I'm going to use only dark beads now because I want to imitate the skin of the avocado, and I'm going to start from the middle of this, like I don't know how to call it, like this diagonal. I'm going to start from the middle because we're going to have the pouch here, and this is how it's going to go. And I want to make 3 to 4, I'm not sure yet, rows in depth. So I'm putting the thread to the third, 1, 2, 3, through this one, and I'm pulling it. Make sure your ends are even. And now I'm taking 3 beads on this end of the thread, the one that is not pulled into the bead, and I'm making the loop, and I'm pulling the second part of the thread into the loop, so I have something like this. I'm going to move the camera now so you can see better what I'm doing with my hands, because this is the cross that you're supposed to get, but I don't think it's very clear. Now I'm pulling the threads through the next bead in the avocado part, and on the other I'm going to pick again 2 dark green beads, make a loop, and pull the other thread through that loop. So 2. I'm sorry, my dog is in the background eating. I cannot do anything about it. Anyway, here's the loop, and I'm taking the thread inside. And this is something, and this is what you're supposed to get, like a little step. And I continue in the same manner. So one goes here, one has 2 beads, and I continue all the way until I reach the other side, and then I'm going to show you what I do, how I turn around. So I pulled the thread through the last bead on the row that I'm going to use. I'm going to put 2 beads on this thread, and I'm going to make a loop and pull this one through the loop. So this is what the end result. This is what the end result looks like. So we now have 2 threads here. And I'm going to put 3 beads on this one, make a loop, and we continue backwards. Now I put this thread through the next bead. Through this one. I put 2 beads on this one, make a loop and pull this thread through the loop again. Now I pull this again through the next bead, like this. I put 2 beads on this thread, make a loop, pull this thread through the loop. And now it's time to tie the knot. So I'm going to pull the threads towards here, somewhere towards here. And I'm going to tie the knot somewhere around here. Because these beads are going to be used, so I don't want to overload them with knots. So these are out of limits, you know. These ones are the ones we're going to be using for the knot. Actually, you don't have to go that far. You can also do like here, the knot. So I actually hit the knot in this bead, and I'm going to pull this one inside this end somewhere here, because I'm not gonna use this side anymore. It's here. And the other end I'm also going to pull somewhere in. Like you can see, the ends are going to be hidden somewhere here. It doesn't really matter. Like some people don't even tie the knots, but it's much better in my very humble personal opinion. Because if something happens, you have a buffer to work with. But if the knot unties for whatever reason, you have no buffer whatsoever. And it's gonna be a problem. So this is what we have. Now I'm going to pull the thread through these two beads, and I'm going to continue beading until I hit here. Then I'm gonna turn again and do 1 or 2 more rows, and we're going to tie the two ends together. So right now it looks very slim, but we need a thicker kind of bag because right now I can't even put my hand inside. So yeah. So now that the sides are ready, again I took 2 beads, made a loop, and put this thread here in the loop. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this upper one, upper thread, and I put 1 bead, 1 dark green bead on it, like this, and then I take the second side, I check how they correspond to each other, so 1, 2, 3. I put the thread, I continue threading, so I put it inside this bead, third from the bottom, let's call it. And basically I refer to the bottom of the bag and top of the bag, so third from this diagonal from the bottom. And then I put another bead on the thread. It doesn't really matter which thread, but the most important is, again, the loop. Basically what the loop does, it makes sure that even if you cut your bag or if it breaks in one place, it's not gonna fall apart altogether. So now you put this thread inside the loop and you pull. You're gonna have to trust the process because it's gonna look it's gonna be very difficult. So now we have sewn our first part together. So now we continue. I put the thread into the next bead in the avocado one, in the front of the bag. And I do the same on the back of the bag, actually on the side. So I put this thread into the next one, into the next bead on the side. Here it's a bit tricky, but we can work it through. So for now it can be a bit loose, it's fine, as long as you kind of keep track of it and you tie it. And you make sure the knots are inside the beads to make sure there's like this kind of tension. Now you put the bead again, you do the loop like this. And you put the second thread into the loop. Now again I put 1 thread into the next bead on the side, like this, and the same goes on the other. Like there's a hot mess because I just changed the threads, but it doesn't really matter. And I put this thread, the second one, through the next bead on the cover, on the front of the bag. So, like this. And I put a bead. It doesn't really matter on which side you put the bead again. I'm not sure if I said that, but I repeat. It doesn't matter. The most important part is the loop, and the thread goes inside the loop. Just like this. Now what I will do, I will continue beading across here, and I'm gonna tie the knot. This is the bag that we have right now. I put the chain very, like, in a very simplified way through the middle beads, through the middle cross, here and here. I'm using this chunky chain that I found in the local store, but you can also use those clasps and just a chain with the carabin, you know, that you can like take off. But I'm just using this chunky chain that I really liked. And I'm going to make a pouch. You can buy one or you can make it yourself. If you need a separate video on how to make the pouch, please comment and I'm going to do it. This is the pouch that I'm going to be using. It has these ribbons and I'm going to put it inside and the bag is done. And this is what we have. I just had to film it in front of my avocado tree.